Schön langsam füllt sich die Halle ein.
So the room is filling itself, and I wish you. And we're back now in 2022. So welcome back into the hall, and a welcome also to all those who are here on the live stream. Redesign tourism now is what we're going to talk about this afternoon, and how we can manage with creative, innovative concepts in tourism to create them. So we are looking forward to very interesting discussions, very interesting presentations by our experts. So I'm going to welcome, first of all, a very charming colleague of mine. A big applause to Heidi Schaaf. This is the second part of our campus, knowledge campus. So you're going to be accompanying us. You are from the tourist branch, you are in the tourist branch, and it is all wonderful that we can all meet up live again, and see each other personally, and give each other a kissy on the right cheek and a kissy on the left cheek. Yes, it's so nice to have all these topics, and you are going to accompany the second part. Heidi Schaaf. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy. Thank you. Yes, if we, ladies and gentlemen, have seen each other and we have a view to the future, then we want to have an environmentally friendly travel perspective. What this has also a relevance to traveling by plane. And we're going to talk about traveling by plane. So the next speaker is going to talk about the aerospace, environmentally friendly traveling, and how the petrol prices have changed, are going to change, what this means for the tourism branch. Since 1991, he has been working with Lufthansa, 2022 Senior Director, Corporate Senior Project Manager, working in transformation to have climate-neutral traveling with sustainable aviation fuels, with sustainable B2B, B2C, and with offers of all Lufthansa for CO2 emissions. And warm welcome to Lars Kröplin. Yes, hello, welcome. I hope that after these 30 minutes of sustainability, you are of the same opinion as I am. The topic is very interesting, and this helps you to come out of the soup coma, where after having had lunch, you need to pay special attention not to fall asleep. So my name is Lars Kröplin, and I am responsible for the sustainability strategy, and to try together with our clients to be neutral, climate neutral. So we're going to start with the presentation. Sorry. Hang on. Hang on. I found the remote control, and I can start showing my slides. There we go. If you are in the garden party season and you find you would like to annoy an airliner, talk to them about e-mobility and electrical cars, because where we have to really feel envious is if we see the automobile industry. They managed to get out of the side of the being the culprits for climate change. They have become the image of sustainability. It's a fast solution that we cannot have in the aircraft. That's the difference between Tesla and our technology. But let's have a look at it in detail. So the E-plane is going to come about soon. So urban air mobility, we're talking about startups as Lilium, Helicopter, which maximum have 7 people in a distance of 300 kilometers that are going to put them about with a totally electrical aeroplane. After that, it's going to become very difficult because the energy of a battery cannot allow us to fly or to come on into the sky, like from the Earth to the sky due to gravity, to go up. So the electricity doesn't last. And in Austrian airline, many people tend to travel far, and to have battery electrical flights won't be able to be used in short term. The energy concentration is not strong enough. And then we have the hydrogen, which is close to kerosene, but with 3 times the volume. So you can imagine it's a plane that can only fly 3 times less. So Airbus already said that in the 2030s we're going to get the new models, but which, due to the volume, are can, for example, fly with 100 to 150 people only. So technologically, what does this mean? So again, we are jealous of the automobile sector. We're not going to be able to make it for a long distance flights and for more passengers for the next 10 years to find a real solution. This does not mean that the aircraft industry can't do anything, because we have very good goals, and with IATA we would like to have the air traveling in a CO2 neutral way until 2015. And here Lufthansa, together with the Austrian, would like to have a start sprint. If we talk about, here we're talking about a marathon and not sprinting, and we want to have a start sprint in the marathon because we would have 2030 50% of CO2 reduction, make sure that the technology or the methods that we're going to talk about are based on that, and that we scale on a safe basis, not the typical hockey stick that where the technology might not help anymore. So with these aims, what I find very important is the logo at the bottom right of the chart, is the Science-Based Target Initiative. I don't know who has heard of it already. It's an NGO which was made by the World Wildlife Fund. This is the WWF, the UN organization, the one with the panda. I think you know what I'm talking about. This initiative has the aim that the globally defined climate aims from the Paris Convention, so the global warming, that is going to be limited to a maximum of 2 degrees, and that this is subdivided into various areas and branches. And here that we have the chance to have realistic goals and valid goals. This initiative is in its development. We have 1,000 companies that are already working in various branches. You're going to hear this name several times. It's going to be the standard where you as a consumer can see whether it's an ambitionate goal or whether it's a self-selected goal. So on a worldwide basis, we have 15 airlines that have their interests in this because these aims are very ambitious. So that's why it's very important to me to mention that there is a real necessity as a Lufthansa Group that we develop concerning sustainability. So we have heard, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We heard that there are very challenging tasks. So what can we do? There are 3 big elements. So avoidance. Avoidance means we stop flying. In this case, as you can see, this pictogram is closed, especially in the short distance mutation. Short distance traveling. So, for example, the Lufthansa does this where possible, 30 destinations in our closer area, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, which already has 1,000 railway connections on a daily basis. But that cannot be the future of aircrafts because you cannot get to Los Angeles flying there. So two more elements are quite important here. And here I have to reformulate myself, my vocabulary, the vocabulary of sustainability. On the one hand, we've got the reduction, which means that in their own business model, they really cannot have an emission of CO2 anymore. And then there's a question of compensation, and in the compensation, they do less on their own segment, but they work in a different area outside of the industry, so the industry takes on the mitigation of CO2. So this is common today in the global south. For example, we plant a tree, forestry, whatever. So this is why we have this important momentum to describe and explain this terminology, because us in the Lufthansa Group, we want to reduce, and this is the highest priority. We're always going to reduce and have the compensation, use the compensation only where we're not capable technologically to bind the CO2. So having said this, where are our levers on which we're working on? What are the technology? The best aircrafts, use the best aircraft that we have on the market. So here, the Lufthansa Group, at the end of the decade, has already ordered 180 new aircrafts that minimum have 30% of CO2 emissions. So that is the main area to reduce the flights. That's not enough. We're also going to use each technology that we can still develop, often from our own area. So we have Lufthansa Technik in Hamburg, which developed a slide with they call sharks. So they try to imitate a specific fish, and you reduce 3% of CO2. So we don't have external technology only, but we also make sure that our own company brings up new ideas. So that's a very important driver. So we also work on ourselves on this operational efficiency. What is this? That our processes are optimized in such a way that we only use so and so much kerosene. That means that it has less weight, to reduce the aircraft weight so that we have less CO2 emission. We try to have our processes where departure, arrival, that we can fly faster, shorter distances, and have less CO2 emissions. The background of this is that we no longer, anyway, we've reached a lot, but we've got a limit. The limit is a political limit, because if the European aircraft work together, which it doesn't because it's very split in the flight guidance, we still need political guidance. So to have a single European sky, that this has to be developed. And the European politics is not doing this, hasn't done this in the past 20 years. But if that was to work, then we could have 10% of CO2 emission in the total European frame. If we were able to reduce this, we have to buy many aircrafts for this. We need to build many aircraft for this. And so we're supporting this. And here we see on these levers that we have, on the one hand, we have a technical and a financial border because the aircrafts are as they are. And we've got a political border. And to this topic, to the title, so we're going to talk about the sustainable energy, what we're working on. So in the past year, we were the biggest user of sustainable energy, and we want to be a pioneer for the third lever of this, to close this and for the reduction to be able to advance. So what is that, what I'm talking about? So how can we get sustainable energy when flying? We get 80% less CO2 emission compared to fossil emissions to make flying sustainable. Nowadays, we're talking about SAF made of biogene substances, which are not competing with the food area, because we do not want to take that away. So one of the main bases are old oils, old used up oils. I've talked about Pioneer, Spirit. The Austrian, since March of this year, has got a cooperation with the OMF that we have 500 tons of this petrol made of old food oil, and it was delivered. And so what you eat at lunch, you know, the oil that's being used can have a positive effect on flying and on the CO2 effect of your future flights. So you can imagine you can't eat as many Wiener schnitzels that we can fill up a whole plane with the leftover oil. So we're going to need another source of energy, which technologically is there, but not finished yet, and not in the industrial manufacturing. So that's power to liquid. That means we need a lot of green hydrogen, and we put this hydrogen with a synthetic and make synthetic oil, which is a clear substance, and it's got nothing to do with the sticky black stuff that we know as raw oil, and has can just be placed together in the refinery with the fossil basic things with new kerosene. So this will be the future that is going to come soon, and doesn't have a natural limitation on its basis. If we have a look at this, it is a short topic, because on the left-hand side, we can see how much green energy we need to create green hydrogen to be able to implement it on a green area. And if you look at 23 power plants in Austria, I don't know about the situation of the power plants in Austria, and I don't want to be quoted talking about power plants, but it's very, very clear that this PTL, power to liquid, as we call it, is not made in Europe. It's made where there is a lot of wind and a lot of sun at our disposition, and the Arab Emirates and the Catapama in Chile is a big candidate for many PTT areas where we have so much wind in those areas in Chile and in Europe. As Europe's going to give the technology, and Europe is going to implement its first devices. I mean, Austria is a pioneer, and they've got the first one in Emsland, because there's a lot of earth, and there's the North Sea, and we are the main partner to make sure that this device is going to be economically efficient, and then we're going to have follow-up devices. What you can see here is this very slow technology. It's going to be scaled, and it's going to grow. And this is a prediction of last year. So we think that this growth is going to be more rapid. Why? Because the European Union's doing the right thing. Because what they do is that they have they're going to try and have a SAF quote. 2055, we're going to have 2 SAF. 2030 is going to be 5%, and 2050 we're going to have 63% of the to be able to use flights from Europe, so that we have sustainable energy. Why 63? I don't know. I can't answer the answer. I can't give you the answer, but this is the challenge that the industry has, and that is, it supports it. So that's the Lufthansa Group and also the flight industry. We just have one thing. We want it to be fair. What cannot happen is that the flights from Europe don't concern the whole league. If you go from Vienna to Shanghai, we've got to consider the whole trip, not just to Istanbul or to Doha, because otherwise we have a carbon leakage, and it's just going to be the same flight. But there's too much emission due to these in between stops. And so this brings us to what can you do now? You can do a lot. When you travel with Austrian Airlines, there are many options and possibilities to have access to sustainable energy for the business partners on the right-hand side, to the bonus programs with corporate customers or special tariffs. And here I would like you to have a look at the left-hand side on the booking process. So starting from the 24th of May on the Austrian.com, also for your next private flight, it's possible you'll have access to ASAF as a compensation to have a CO2 neutral flight with one mouse click. And this is the big step that we're going together with our customers to have a sustainable flight, which is made possible. Having said this, so thank you very much for your attention here, but also on screen. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Make change flight. Thank you very much. Lars Kröplin. Very, very, very interesting, Mr. Kröplin. A few weeks ago, I read in the Austrian newspaper, they were talking about a new trend, that flying is becoming more attractive, more charming. And we're going... Oh, no, sorry, that was going to be less flight. And we're going to have Tehran, like vegan Tehran, so that we use more the earth than the air to fly. No, I don't think so, because it's the customers decide themselves what they want. What we're living now, and also with the booking trends, is that people want to get out. They want to live things, and there's the possibility by car or by train, but there's always places that you cannot reach that way. And if you see the booking dynamics, that we all have our possibilities and rights to bring the people to their goals. And we can offer to each and every one of them that they can fly with a CO2 neutral, and they don't have to worry about the footprints they leave and feel bad about it. We're going to make it with a mouse click. So the Lufthansa has already introduced this, and they're very happy, and that the customers want to do this. So this step to a clean flight concerning CO2, that this is feasible. So if I understand you well, that's in short term, we're going to find energy that is free of CO2, and you don't have to have a bad conscience. Is that a utopia? No. This is a long-term combustible, which is not there illimited. But, you know, if we want this, and if our guests want this, and we can, you know, and you can't do it in part, you do it all or not. So we can compensate a bit, for example, by growing trees, and then with SAF as well. We want to escalate, and we want to de-escalate, and we want to do this with our customers. And the more they want this, the more we can offer it. A positive togetherness, yes. So there's going to be mixed forms. So everybody can do this privately when they fly. What does this mean for the touristic branch here in this room? I talked about a few products. So at the moment, we're going through a phase that we're at the beginning of a new wave. So there is no limit to our creativity. We've already got our first aims, which are working upon the fact that the flights should be greener, where we have a goal, and customers and airlines work together, and everybody passes on and has their part in it, and that's important. We've got many possibilities. We've got the technology. We want to scale it, and we are ready to think about cool ideas and bring them, place them. So you have to eat a lot of schnitzel. That's what I learned. My daughters prefer to go to big American fast food chains, and I also tell them about climate change and personal health. Right, thank you. I understand. So 1 schnitzel or 2 schnitzel per day is enough. Okay, that's very interesting. And maybe bilaterally we can exchange each other. That was very interesting. Thank you very much. So Lars Kröplin from Lufthansa Group. Thank you so much for being here today.